section about the next speaker. I've already talked a second here, and I don't care to go in much deeper. Actually, what is going to come out as part of this. I was originally going to talk to you about 5 tools that you really needed for equipment. It's called the whole bunch of equipment. And I was down making presentations down in Tampa for the U.S. convention. And just on the way back, I realized that there was something missing. Because I had great conversations, and I really like to get conversations going within the clinics. And I had a really good conversation with somebody. And it made me kind of dwell on it the whole way home, and after writing some about it, it's like it seems like there's one tool that coaches have that we don't use. And that's what I would like to talk to you. And then I want to give you an example, and I'm going to pull in these sweaty people over here to give you an example. I've gone from this. This is if I've been coaching. This is the 31st year I've been coaching, and this is my scale. I've gone from lazy to crazy in terms of equipment. The lazy. This is lazy. Yeah. Coming back from Murphy Cup. One of my first years here, I got really lazy. Oh yeah, the boats get on the trailer. Oh yeah, I know this happens. Oh yeah, we'll throw a couple straps on. Yeah. Got really lazy, boom, and that's what happened. Not only did that boat break, but it took 2 boats out. What happened was a strap in the very front let go, and the whole boat swung around. It was major. If you've ever seen it, can you imagine sticking a piece of dynamite in a Ford? That's what happened. Since that time, I've become very strong advocate of putting double straps, if not triple straps, on the bows of your boats, the boats that are going into the wind, just so this won't happen. That was my lazy days. This is my crazy days. This little bugger here, what do you guys call this? Devil box? Right? Anybody use these? Yeah. Kids love them. You're right. Kids hate these things. And this is my crazy days. So we would get this information, and Coach Leaflet and I would sit down, and we'd go through all this, and we figure out all these little everything. Those were the crazy days. And this is kind of my in-between days, when I kind of figured out, like, you know what, there's some stuff with rowing that, and equipment that works, but doesn't work, and there's got to be some common sense. I've been all over the place, especially working with a national team. You know, spending 3.5 hours outside in Atlanta at about 101 degrees with one of the first resolutes wet sanding that. That's a crazy day for a boat that wasn't even raced. Oh, we might race this boat. And then I got to think, are they just sending me out here to get me out of their hair? But here's an example. A friend of mine came to me, and Joe Murtaugh. Does anybody know Joe? He coached the U.S. lightweight team for many, many years and was the lightweight coach up at Rutgers. Now, I'm sorry, at Princeton. They have a huge fighter guy. He's the rigger up at Princeton. Brett. He's a marshal. He's a great guy. But he is a rock. He's built like a Volkswagen. This guy's big. And he rides a Harley. So I was talking to Joe about, well, how do you handle it? I mean, how do you handle losing the sprints by 0.2 of a second to Harvard? How do you handle all this stuff in terms of the equipment? He said, well, this is what I do. I tell Brad that on race day, if I go near any of the boats with a wrench, he's to hit me in the stomach as hard as he can and then sit on me till I black out. He said, I stay away from everything. Kind of give you an example. You guys get crazy, right? Yeah? Okay. What drives you wild and crazy about the equipment? What? Come on, what's one thing? You're as crazy as they come. The oars, okay. What about the oars? Rigging, loads, okay. Who else goes crazy about it? What else? Come on. Yes, who's that?
With the weather conditioning changing between heats and finals, I always think about, is there anything I should change to make it more normalize it for heats and finals?
Okay, the weather, the environment, the conditions. Should I change? Shouldn't I change? What should I do? Right. Sure. What else would drive you nuts about this whole thing that we do with rowing equipment? Come on, we are the most equipment-intensive sport out there. I talked to the guys in the bobsled when I was working with the team. I talked to the guys in bobsled. They said, you guys are whack jobs. He said, we are normal compared to you guys. You guys are freaks of nature because we have standards. Everything's got to be the same. He said, in your sport, somebody comes out with one thing that says it's going to make you faster. It's like, You guys are like piranhas on a cow that just fell in the pond. Because you guys go nuts. What else? What else about this sport drives us crazy? Oh, come on. There's a 5-letter word out here. What? Speed? Will speed make you buy something? Will speed get you all hot, crazy about something? You ever walk around the head of the Charles and just watch people at some of the tents with the vendors? They go nuts. I'm one of them. I'll admit it. I go crazy on this stuff. So here's the tool. It's a tool. It's called objectivity. And we lose it. It's human nature, but we lose it. I'm going to give you an example here in a second. We go crazy. And if you look at it from this standpoint, where objectivity is judgment based on observable phenomena and uninfluenced by emotions and personal bias, objectivity is something that can advance your coaching to a new level. How many of you struggle picking the seatings for boats? Does it drive you nuts? Yeah. And I see time and time again, and I'm not preaching from a high, I'm right in the trenches with you, but I see time and time again where coaches can't make a decision, and they do another burpees, and they do one more seat race, and they do one more thing, and because it's so easy for us to lose our objectivity. Part of that is we do form relationships. We do play favorites. We do like one person over another. We do like this, that. And I'll take that out of the human perspective, is that we like equipment. So who rows only one type of boat? What do you row? Nothing else. Okay. What do you row? Best bowling. Nothing else. Who else? Anybody? This is the only thing I wrote? West bowling. You West bowling. Why? So we have 3 big V's. Why? Why? Oh, it's 20 minutes down the road. Durable. Who?
That's what it's going for.
Okay. Well, what about you folks? What do you row? Just whatever's there. Why do you buy? Price? What drives you to buy that thing? What you can get at the best price? Whatever you can get whatever you can squeeze out of the AD. Right? How about over here?
Sites, that's bowling. Usually the sites are smaller.
Right. Well, when you come down to our boathouse, you'll see the spatter. We cover the alphabet, so to speak. We go from A to Z. It's interesting. So if you can hit this judgment based on observable phenomena, for example, I talked about this. This is a great piece of equipment to help you gain some objectivity. I would not use this as seat selection. I would not use this to decide what boat to buy. But I would use it, bless you. I would use it to give me some information that's objective. Like if we were to flip back to the graph, you'll see the graph that gives you speed, it gives you at certain ratings. Is that a good piece of information? Yeah, it is. So, I've developed this little thing. It's called the objectivity loop. This is how I try to work. I look at something, like for example, let's say I was to look at what boat to buy. I try to look at the whole big picture. What fits into our program? Who should get one? The guys, the gals? Do we need an 8? Do we need a 4? What do we need to manufacture? Is it close? Is it far? Is it expensive? Is it cheap? And then I try to see any patterns that are really applicable to us. Like, well, the guys had a new boat last year, so the women will get a new boat this year. Well, we need an 8, we don't need a 4. So I try to really see, and then I make a decision. And that's not too revolutionary, but the thing is, going from number 3 to number 1. A lot of people then won't look at that decision and say, well, it was a good decision or a bad decision. So what does that have to do with rigging? Well, I already heard it. A bunch of you say, well, rigging, no timing. Wow, rigging, I don't know, load leverage. I'd say this, rig it and keep it and then work. And then see if it works. You know, go that sort of. This is one of my top heroes. Anybody know him? Richard Feynman. This is the guy who basically, I don't know if you remember this, when the Challenger blew up, he was part of the investigation. And he sat down after the committee in public, put down a glass of ice water, put the O-ring in water, took it out after 2 minutes, and squeezed it and broke it. Right? And bingo, right then, he set the stage of, forget all this huge retort, this is what happened. objectivity, clarity. So, let me give you an example. This thing here. Anybody have one of these? Ooh, you can touch it when you want to. Somebody said, can I row that? Heck yeah, you can row it all you want. So as I'm walking down concept 2, I think John was with me, and I saw this thing, and I stopped, and I thought, in my mind, it was, oh my gosh, I was going. I could feel myself going. And I'm a Mac fan. And as soon as they come out with a new thing, you start getting sweaty palms. So I said, man, you gotta look at this thing objectively. If you're gonna sit up and preach objectivity, my kids hate that word at home, then you need to look at some things. So, okay, so we've got this new puppy here, this new bird. We just bought 2 of them. Okay, let me kind of go through the process with you. So I looked at these things, and I thought, So I asked her to pop on at the head of the turtle. Actually, I fumbled through the whole boat. So she's only had, what do you think? You've had 10 strokes on this thing. Pop on. Okay. What I'm going to ask Rachel to do, sit in the head, do that. Just put it on. Oh, and you better stop. They were so nervous when I said, she got road. Take 5 strokes. Okay, so this is what I did. What do you think? How did that feel?
That felt.
Okay, and then I got that reaction. Right? Okay, Parker has never been on this machine. You know Parker well. You've seen him sweat. Parker's going to do it holding the 55. Parker's earned it. He's never been on it. And he's like typical guys. One of the main thing about guys, go ahead and stretch yourself, Parker, is that we don't want to look dumb. So when I said Parker wanted to say, I could tell the hesitation. But Parker was up here last year talking about his brain size, right? Something like that. So this is nothing. Okay, let's get 5 strokes from you, Parker. Okay. So what? What do you think? What did it feel? Different. Okay. Good, different, bad, different.
Everything's getting used to, but I can get it.
Okay. Johnny. Now, Johnny has never rode on this machine. Now, I'll tell you this. Johnny comes to practice with us. He travels to spring break. Johnny knows rowing. And if I could get him in a lightweight single, it would be a game changer for some people, but he won't do that. He likes to run.
Pay attention to my form.
Okay. So take a couple. Okay. So from your perspective now,